Thank you.
Don't go away. Mr. Otis?
Thank you for your patience. I have a few questions for Ms. Eve and Mr. Clemens, Verizon questions about customer service, and in two categories. First is the ability of somebody to get a human being on the phone to follow up on support services. And so there are various protocols that are on the website, or if you call up on the phone, where you walk through an automated world that is long and rich in detail, but often repetitive. And I'm just wondering, what does the system look like behind the scenes? How many human beings are there that could pick up a phone? Because a lot of these things could be solved if one could get to the person and bypass all that. And even on the website, the bypass sort of protocols still get you into an automated world, either on a phone or online, before you get to a human being. That is tremendously time consuming, and it maybe we need more people to be able to be there, or the system is geared to avoid you talking to a human being, and it's disadvantageous to customers whose time is valuable. So that's part one of customer service, and appreciate your feedback on that.
Well, thank you, Assemblyman, for the question. While neither of us can speak with great specificity, obviously Verizon provides literally dozens of services, the most significant of which in New York is going to be either telephone service or cable television service, also wireless services. We represent all different aspects of the company, and so there are different people that you would be calling depending on the service or the issue that you want addressed. But let me just say, as a general matter, we strive every day to do better. We've gotten better than we were in the past, but frankly, we're not where we want to be. This is a focus, of the company to improve customer service, whether you're interfacing solely on the website, whether you're calling and seeking a response from us. We're better than we have been in the past. We're not where we want to be. Frankly, if there are specific challenges that you may have had or your constituents may have had in terms of interaction with someone on the phone, I literally get those emails from members, and I follow it up, that I forward it to the person who oversees either our marketing department or the persons who deal with our call centers, because they are instructive for us. But the last thing we want to do is have a frustrated customer, because frustrated customers leave and go elsewhere. And so we have an imperative to do better, and that is our focus, and that's our commitment. I can't speak with any specificity in terms of a particular service, but I will tell you, better than in the past, not where we want to be, and continuing to do better every day.
So, and if you don't have it today, that's fine, but I'd be interested to know where you are in terms of number of people that are available to answer phones and speak to human beings, and whether that is trending up or down, let's say in the last 5 years, because it seems like there are lots of barriers to you getting to that person. And so
we definitely have the sufficient number of people to do the work, but I'll be the first to say I don't do my job perfectly. I try every day to do it better, and that's what we do as a company, because again, as we've all noted, I respect my colleagues a great deal, but they are fierce competitors. And somebody who's frustrated with us can pick up the phone or go to the internet and in a nanosecond be elsewhere. So we have an imperative to do better, and that's what we're seeking to do every day. Without question, though, we have the sufficient number of people and resources to do the job, but we're seeking every day to do a better job at it.
Well, thank you for that, and if there's supplemental information after the fact, it would be appreciated. The other piece of it is actual on-the-ground customer support when something has to be repaired, whether it's in an apartment or in a household, or lines or systems that are out there. And in terms of where are we in terms of speed of response, speed of getting people out there to deal with these problems, and to what extent is that also like nighttime, weekends? How are you geared up to deal with those situations? Because that is, one of the feedback I get from constituents is that is sometimes a problem because there just aren't enough people to respond, or the response is taking longer than maybe it used to.
Again, we believe we have sufficient force to do the work that needs to be done. We actually do provide service quality metrics to the Public Service Commission. We have metrics that measure the percent of customers that we reach within 24 hours and how we perform on that. We've been very good in terms of meeting our metric, which is currently focused on addressing issues within those time frames with respect to the vulnerable customers like the elderly, blind, disabled, and customers that live in areas where there are no competitive alternatives. The Commission wisely calibrated the plan to focus on those areas. But on a broader measure of the reliability of the network, we've actually performed quite well. We've been trending to the positive over the past 2 years. We've pretty consistently met the customer trouble report rate, which measures the number of troubles per 100 customers in the state on a wire center basis. So our service is generally very good, very reliable. That said, there are instances where we don't meet the mark. We may miss an appointment. We do try to get to our customers as quickly as possible. And to be clear, even on the metrics where we're not measuring that are focused on those customers, I think the average times that we're getting to customers, even for non-targeted customers, is still within 20 hours on average across the state. So that gives you a range. But I do want to add, there are some instances where we have major cable failures that can take weeks to fix. If we have a fire in a manhole, or where we had electric facilities in the manhole that caught fire and they melted our copper cable, those type of restorations do take some time. It does take us a while to get to the customers in some instances. Now, unfortunately, we do try to mitigate the impact on the customers while they're out of service. We either forward their phones to their wireless phones or offer them devices that allow them to replicate their phone service in their home that are wireless. But we do get to those. We do focus on getting those restored, but they do take some time sometimes.
So again, just one piece of supplemental information. I'd be interested maybe a longer, like a 5-year trend or whatever, in terms of responses to the general public on repairs and whatnot.
And we did provide some of that in our comments to the Public Service Commission. We'd be happy to share those with you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Seawright?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Rebecca Seawright. I represent the Upper East Side, Yorkville, and Roosevelt Island. I have a question for Verizon. What steps are you taking to protect a vulnerable population such as senior citizens to understand this whole conversion process?
The network transformation project, I think, as you know, on the Upper East Side, there are a couple of wire centers where we are moving customers to the fiber network. We've implemented communications, multiple steps of communications aimed at letting them know that we'll be doing the moves.
Specifically for the senior citizen population?
For all customers, I will say, with respect to seniors as well, we are sensitive to them being a particularly sensitive population. There have been times where we've had to engage in extra communications with individuals that we know to be seniors to make sure they understand it, and we do have outreach that's aimed at doing that. We also have been working through the communications letters that we send with a view towards looking at that, being more sensitive and responsive to the needs of that particular segment of our customers. And we're constantly recalibrating our process. So we are targeting seniors in particular with more effective communications. We also follow up with calls, and in instances where we've been asked in some instances to delay moves moving customers to the fiber network, we've accommodated those requests, recognizing that at some point we do have to complete the moves if we're going to be able to move them to the state-of-the-art facilities that we're moving to, and remove the old copper facilities that are there that will no longer be supported. So we are very sensitive to that community, and we are trying to target some special attention to seniors.
All right. I'm going to kind of focus on the providers other than Verizon, but you're welcome to participate, of course. So I'm trying to think about the emergence of the technologies beyond cable TV, VoIP, and then broadband internet, and your history associated with the expansion into the other products, the other services. So, and then reach the point where the FCC has said 25 megabits per second ought to be our national standard, and understand how you perceive the ability of your customers to pay for the final step, which is to be able to afford that minimum standard. So, yes, you had the ability, or you had many customers taking cable TV, and then many millions of customers started taking a phone, and which would presumably have some, and you'd have some broadband associated with it, and now you have. I'm taking a look at, for instance, a Cablevision triple play. I'm looking at a pricing comparison. Cablevision triple play, 50 megabits, 245 channels, $84.95. This is the triple bundle price. Time Warner, 200 channels, 30 megabits per second, $89.99. It's pretty close to the FCC new national goal, or however you would want to call it. So, in your experience now, what percentage of your customers are taking a product, a broadband product that is beyond 25 or more megabits per second, 30, 50, whatever your particular offering might be? And this applies to Verizon too, and Frontier, and everybody really. What's the cutoff point in terms of your customers' income that you're seeing people taking that kind of a product? So what I guess the question is so yes, there's something accessible. How, so obviously, half the population has an income of less than $50,000 a year, and so they're half the customers, generally speaking. So what percentage of the people are able to, because they've made this choice, must mean that they can afford it? So what do you think?
So I'm happy to start. First, customers are very price sensitive. I mean, that's not an earth-shattering, revelation.
Right.
But what we see is that they are very, very price sensitive. So in our footprint across the nation, 75% of the households that we pass have access to 12 megabits per second. But 83% of them choose the lower speed tier. And that lower speed tier...
I'm sorry, run that by me again.
83% of them choose the lower speed tier.
Which was, that speed was?
It's typically...
12? That's what you said,
If they
right?
have access to 12, they typically choose the lower speed tier. We offer above 12, of course, but
Okay.
75% are covered by 12. 83% will select the lower speed tier, which is often 6 megabits or sometimes 10 megabits per second. And the difference in price is not it is typically about $10 per speed tier. So that $10 will cause customers to go to the lower speed tier. So we have a lot
Now,
of...
is this in your New York?
This is across our footprint.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
aggregated across
that's the
our
national
footprint. That's
average.
national,
All right.
yes. And that's where a standalone broadband product is $29.99. Now, there is a lot of discussion about advancing speeds and continuing to provide, greater and greater capacity, and that's something that we strive to do in our network. We utilize a hybrid solution with fiber and the copper facilities, which we feel are still very valuable. We're able to get a lot of value and great performance out of them by using advanced technologies like VDSL and copper bonding. There are markets, for example, in Connecticut, where over that technology we're offering speed tiers of 110 megabits per second. But anecdotally, I will tell you that very few customers select that speed tier. We've built gigabit networks in the Oregon area and also down in Durham. Very few customers will purchase a gigabit of service because it's expensive, frankly.
Right.
They'll purchase a lower speed tier. But there is a lot of discussion about, faster speeds, but that comes at an expense that many consumers are just not willing to allocate their, finite family resources towards that higher speed based on how much it costs, frankly.
Right, and that's the point I'm driving at, and you're articulating a cogent response. The 100 megabits per second may cost a lot of money for somebody to take that product, possibly many tens of dollars a month, more than 30 or 12. So as these investments continue in the broadband, do you believe that these offerings of 100 or 300 megabits are going to generate substantial consumer response? Are they correlated very highly with income? Are only upper middle class people really seeking these kinds of speeds, and everybody else is really gets what you just mentioned? They're going to choose. 83% will choose less than 12 megabits. Is that your perception?
I think the perception is that there's two factors to look at. One is price and one is performance. And I think for many consumers, they are getting what they need at the price that they are willing to pay for that service. So I don't have the data about the correlation between whether it's the upper middle class customers who are demanding, a gig service. I think there's a lot of discussion about that in the industry, but there's less concrete data about really what consumers are willing to pay, I guess I would say. It's one of the reasons that the adoption issue is such a tough nut to crack, because there's accessibility, ensuring that facilities are available to customers, but then there's also adoption. And there are instances where facilities have been built out to a community and the take rate is really low because of a variety of reasons, and economics is not just one of them. I mean, the FCC has looked at this. They've done broadband pilot programs. We actually participated in that. They have offered customers a variety of different incentives to try to encourage adoption. And the findings of that study is that there's no one silver bullet. It's not make it free. It's not make it free and give a free computer. It's not make it free and give a free computer and do literacy training. It's much more complicated than that.
All right. So Optimum, due to a variety of circumstances, notwithstanding my general indifference to virtually all products and services, my wife made me become a Optimum triple play customer out on Long Island.
I like her.
Yeah. So we have 50 megabit per second, ultra, that product. So we got the triple play discount promotional offer. So, so your bill tells the customer at what point the triple play discounts will expire, and actually tells you what you're going to be charged when they expire, which is good. So the bill will go from $130 a month to about $190 a month when the triple play discounts expire.
You're a rich man.
Yeah, so we do okay, but $200 a month is $2,400 a year. What kind of take rate do you really think the public will seek? As these, I mean, obviously these are very new services in the overall scheme of things. How many people really will take different kinds of speed? I mean, we could go back to a lower speed. We could knock out the ultra. We could take the sports fee out. Various things. You can reduce the bill, yes, and you can get to a lower tier and a lower tier and a lower tier. But I mean, are these kinds of broadband speeds associated with the triple plays, even something as low as 50, really affordable for the majority of the public?
Well, I would come at it a slightly different way. I would say, one, I agree with Allison's point that there's a combination of both price and service and performance and what a customer needs. And I would say what we're seeing, and really the market change, is part of what you noticed, which is that we now have more broadband customers than we have video customers. And that is a trend that's accelerating. I think it reflects what you're saying, which is the general public has a real interest in broadband. But what it also reflects is that people are using broadband and consuming video in very different ways today than they did previously. And so I'm not sure that you're quite...
You're saying you have more standalone broadband than video?
I'm saying we have more overall broadband customers than we have video customers. And the gap between our video number and our broadband number of customers is increasing because...
And why?
Because I think people are consuming their video oftentimes over the broadband. Over the top, through Netflix, through Hulu, or through services directly from like an HBO, who has its own over-the-top service that it markets and that you can purchase, so people don't feel compelled to buy the traditional video product. So I think for many people, the equation is changing about in their decisions about where they want to spend their dollars. And is the broadband service more important to them? And in fact, do they prefer it over having traditional video service? So I think it's really a differential. And I want to also say that our baseline service, our sort of entry-level service for broadband, is 25 meg. So it is the FCC standard. So the overwhelming majority of our customers, all our customers basically have at least 25 meg. We do have a much lower speed service that we introduced for those people who it was an income challenge, it was a challenge financially to purchase that entry-level service. But we frankly don't have a lot of pickup on that, but our baseline is 25 meg and above. Then we go 25, 50 megabit service, which sounds like what you have, 75 meg service, up to 101 service that's available across the board.
All right. So just trying to, sorry, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts here. In relation to the order involving Time Warner, there is supposed to be, Time Warner has this everyday low price. And I don't know, Mr. Whalen, if you want to come up, or, because...
No,
All right, well, maybe Maureen can, I don't know. Anyway, let me finish the question. All right. So there's an everyday low price of us that offers a certain broadband speed. And so you're going to be required to maintain that for 3 years, or new charter will be required to maintain that for 3 years. But, and so that everyday low price, so the lady from Frontier, I forgot your name. Allison testified that a substantial percentage of the customers of Frontier across the whole nation, it's a big company, are taking, when they get the choice, they're taking this extremely low broadband speed. And so these offerings of 50 or more, 100 or more, 300, sounds like only relatively high-income customers will take these broadband speeds. And, but, so is that what you perceive to be the future?